Break, what's going on, man? Just getting started over here. I'm trying to. Running late as always. I'm here. Nope. All right. All right, Break, what's up, man? Who you got tonight? You got the Chargers, you got the Vikings. I don't think it make a difference who you get because both these teams here mirror images of each other. They ain't raising no hell. Everybody got all excited because the Chargers knocked the Chiefs off to start the season, but they ain't been looking so good lately. Coach put something on them the other day, and I'm worried about the Chargers. Right now, they're 3-point favorite, and I think that's only because they're a home team. And a lot of times, when teams go across country, they have problems adjusting to the time. Not so much in the NFL, but definitely in college. I think I'm gonna go with the Vikings tonight. They ain't a bad football team. Carson Wentz, he make a few mistakes, but he's trying to get Jefferson involved. As long as Jefferson is getting involved, he has a chance to do something. And I think the Chargers, they won't have much of an answer for him. I thought that they would be a better team scheme wise, but when Jackson Dart lit them up, then that let me know that this team is not as good as I thought they were. And then it was amplified when they got blown out the other night or beat up pretty good by the Colts. So everybody's all jacked up about the Colts. I ain't so convinced about the Colts just yet. Chargers had a better quarterback. I'll go with the Chargers tonight. What's going on, JC? No, Herbert he's got potential, but I think Wentz is just as good. He just never reached his height, and part of that because he got hurt. If he hadn't got hurt that year that they won the Super Bowl, maybe could have gained some momentum behind that, and then you never know. But a lot of times, all it takes is a change of scenery. You see that taking place with Daniel Jones um, and Wentz getting out of Philadelphia first. No, was he in LA first? No, Wentz was in Philadelphia, and Goff was in with the Rams. So both those teams now have different quarterbacks, and a lot of times the scenery can make all the difference. Chargers defense is better than the Vikings, yeah, but they might have been better against other teams, but they hadn't played the Vikings or they haven't played each other, so you don't know how they're gonna match up. Matchups make all the difference in sports. You can be a champion boxer knocking everybody out, but then that same dude that's lost 3 or 4 fights, he might be the perfect matchup for you, and you think you're just going to run right through him, he end up knocking you out. It's happened a lot of times in sports, man, and that's why we play the game. I don't see any greatness on either one of these teams to say that they're going to strike much fear in the other team. And I think that the best part about these Thursday games is you don't really have a whole lot of time to prepare. It's a short week. Some of these guys haven't fully recovered from the last game, and you tend to see things that you wouldn't see after game planning for a whole week. But these guys are professional. You should be able to adjust on the fly as it is and go from there. But that's tonight. Should be a good game. But I just noticed, just find out that there's a little controversy in the SEC with the officiating. If you've been paying attention about not last game but the week before, Georgia played Auburn, and Georgia was the beneficiary of some controversial calls. One on the goal line, Auburn had a quarterback sneak. I think it was fourth down. The guy cleared across the goal line, and the official said no, it was not a touchdown. And then another time, Kirby Smart running up and down the sideline, clearly showing the timeout signal. And then when the man went over there to it gave him the timeout, And when Kirby called him over there and said, "Well, I wasn't calling a timeout," he said he was trying to say something about what the team was doing, and he's telling a damn lie. It's a universal signal. There's no mistaking when somebody's calling a timeout what that is. Now, there are times when you see a quarterback, he gives the T signal and he's talking to his receivers, but the way that he goes about doing it, it's clear that he's not trying to call a timeout. But whatever reason, this official, he granted Georgia back their timeout. And it gave them an unfair competitive advantage at that time because right then Auburn was getting ready to strike. So Freeze, he couldn't believe it. And now the league has gone back and looked at that several times, and they found like 8 or 9 violations where the call should have went against Georgia and didn't. And they have permanently suspended this official from the SEC. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. This is the first instance I ever heard of an official being suspended, especially publicly. Now, I'm sure it's happened before behind the scenes, but we never know that. But in a case like this, that's not a good look for the officials because how can you be so far off on obvious calls and still be in that position? So the league, instead of instantly reacting to that, they have investigated and they looked at the film and they found clear violations of what this official did against Auburn. Now, some of the officials in other leagues, like Terry McCauley, he's calling this as incomprehensible or an egregious error by this SEC Official Association, and you think he should be reinstated. But what do you think about that? I think that myself, I think that it's a clear violation that he should have been reprimanded right then. There's been times when officials have been run over or got hurt during the game and they've been replaced. They always have replacement officials there. So why not replace a guy that is making bad calls, especially when it has a clear effect on the game? And I'm not saying that Auburn would have won that game, but as you know, Georgia's got 15 lives. You know, the average person might have 9 lives. They got 15. And when you start helping them, Georgia's going to be hard to beat. Rivalry game like that, let the players decide it on the field, not the officiating. All right. Break says Vikings corner is weak. All those corners in the league, they're pretty much weak. They got their hands tied up. They can't really play football. You get anywhere close to a guy now, especially they seem to have put an emphasis on the pass interference calls. So I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm certain that they're up more than they were last year. Now, I think that those defensive backs needed to be reined in some because I made the point about Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, he's a good corner. He's come up and hit you and all of that. But he sure grabs and holds an awful lot. And now that they're calling that, he can't grab and hold like he's used to doing. And he's got to play more technique. And I think that's the way it should be. But I also don't think that all the rules should be skewed toward the offense. It's already now where the defenders can't hit the quarterback. I mean, you hit him late, it's a penalty. You hit him too high, it's a penalty. You hit him low, it's a penalty. If you hit him in the middle and you fall on him, that's a damn penalty. Well, hell, why don't you just put a dress on him for real and say, well, you can't hit this guy? And that's pretty much what it's coming to. And that's step one toward flag football. They're already building it up. The All-Star game was flag football, and flag is building up internationally. I'm telling you, I might not see it at the end of my life, but the NFL is headed toward flag football, and I'm telling you something else. It's going to be co-ed. Just look at the way the game is evolving. Can't hit the quarterback. Receiver can run pretty much free across the middle. You can't hit him. I mean, you got to pretty much let him catch it before you try to tackle him. And don't get your head in the wrong spot because that's a penalty too. So I don't know what's becoming my beloved game, but if you can turn me against it, then you don't have much outlook for the future. But I think that what they should do instead of over worrying about these concussions and CT and all of that, make these players sign a waiver. Look, you know this is a vicious game. If you play it, you are subject to whatever happened to you. We're not advocating that you go out there and get killed. Even in the most violent days of football, very few people have died playing it. Unless you go back when they first started, when you had like 50 players to the side, and we had no chance then. But I think these players should have to sign a waiver that either you're going to play football or not, because what you have now is becoming a version of flag football with pads on. And that's all it is. And it's to sell tickets and it's still popular and all that, but NFL is no different than baseball. Baseball felt like they can do whatever. And they went on strike that time, and the league damn near folded because the fans got tired of that. And you can't tell me that the fans aren't disenchanted with football and the rules that they have. So the NFL is not untouchable. So I think they got an idea of that. This is why they're trying to expand internationally. So if the people in the United States say forget them, then they already got an international market that they're building up. But I don't think it'll ever get to that point, and I don't think they're going to have to sign any waivers to play football. But if they don't do something, what we know as football will be something completely different. And that, I say, is a complete shame. Now, speaking of CTE, let me ask you this. I've been noticing, I noticed a couple of years ago, but it was sprinkled here and there. But now I'm seeing it more often now. These guys with these balloon helmets. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of air cast, or you got the regular helmet on, and over that it's kind of like some kind of shell. It's got the same logos and things as the regular helmet, but you can clearly see that it's like a double helmet. What is the point of that? I mean, what is that going to do? It's just like a motorcycle helmet. You can have all the face covering you want, but if you get hit, or you get knocked off the bike and you hit your head at the right angle, it don't make no difference what kind of helmet you got on. Case in point, there's a video out there. Some guy just happened to be, he records himself riding a motorcycle, and he's riding down the road, and damn tire flew off, hit him in the head, knocked his block all the way off. What good did the helmet do him then? So I don't understand this balloon look, and it just looks so ridiculous compared to the rest of the players on the field. I just like to know what that is. If somebody can tell me, please do. All right. The WNBA refs are horrible. Well, basketball is a hard game to officiate. And I think as bad as they are, two things they cleaned up. The first thing they did, that star system, even though it's still at play to some point. Back in the 80s, you have a guy who was a star. He come down the court, and he gets fouled. They call a foul. Okay, no problem. Then you go back on the other end, this same star player slugged the hell out of somebody. They don't call a foul. Okay. Then you go back, the star player's got the ball, ticky-tack foul again. You call that foul. Go back down the other way, he fouls the hell out of somebody, no call. Now you're hot. You fouled me twice hard with no call, and then you call me for a ticky-tack foul twice down here. Well, if you're going to call me for a foul, hell, I might as well get my money's worth. I'm going to knock the hell out of him. And sure enough, you come down and knock the hell out of him. Now you got a fight brewing. Because now the star player feel like you shouldn't be touching me like that. But then you feel like he killing me on the other end with no call at all. So if you're going to call me for a foul, I might as well get my money's worth. And to a great degree, they've cleaned that part of it up. But the other thing that I think they've done a good job of cleaning up is they would call a great game all the way to the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. And all of a sudden, they start calling fouls on the team that's not supposed to win. The worst call I ever seen in basketball, and I know it specifically, was on Dan Marley when he was playing. I think he was with Miami at that time when the Knicks and the Heat were going at it with Pat Riley. I don't know if it was late 90s or early 2000s. Marley was a good 2 yards away from the guy, and all he did was turn. Nowhere near the player. The man called a foul on him. I reached for the TV and turned that shit off. and I didn't watch NBA again for about 3 years. That is the worst call I ever seen in all my born days in sports. And I don't know how the NBA can justify that. Now, when that guy Tim, what his name, the referee that got caught fixing games, they kind of fixed a lot of that stuff after that came out. But I never seen a call so bad. And for them to start all of a sudden ruin a great officiating game by calling bogus fouls at the end of the game to make sure this other team wins, it was kind of obvious to me. And it makes people think that these sporting events are rigged. And I had it happen to me when I was coaching girls basketball. I was a varsity coach and head coach, and we were going at it with this team from the St. Augustine area. And I'm at home. Called flawless game all the way up to like the last 2 minutes. And all of a sudden, they call like 10 fouls in a row on me. All the girls doing, going up to get rebound and fighting for it. But all of a sudden, we're the ones that's violating. Put him on the line. He shot about 20 free throws in the last 2 minutes of the game and ended up knocking me off by 2 or 3 points. And it was so obvious that one of the girls on the other team came up to me and apologized for the way the game was officiated. I'm sitting there starstruck, but if I had a chance to speak to that girl, I had to congratulate her for her sportsmanship. And I appreciated that at that moment, even though I couldn't tell her that. It's not that I had a problem with losing. It's just that you never expect a player from another team to come up to the coach and apologize for the officiating. That's how bad that game ended. And then the referees had the nerve to come up to me after the game talking about, good game, coach. Man, get the hell out of my face with all them damn, man, get out of here, man. Break. It's rough, man. The girl came up and shook my hand. I'm sorry, coach, for you officiated the game. So if the players know they're cheating you, you know there's something wrong, man. And that's a hard pill to swallow, man. But that's okay. But I think the officiating in the NBA overall has gotten bad. I don't watch the WNBA as much. I'm not discriminating. I know some people would hear that and think I'm discriminating, but no, I'm watching NCAA basketball since I was like 8 or 9. All these great coaches that you hear about, Kim Mulkey and Don Staley. I watched all of them coming up, even though Don is my age, but Kim Mulkey was a point guard for Louisiana Tech, playing for Leon Barmore in the championship games, and they used to play the NCAA championship games for women at the Scope in Richmond, Virginia, back in the early 80s. That's how I know all these players. So when I see what's going on now, the women's game a little bit more as far as technical skills, fundamentals, they're going to have that over the guys because they can't do certain things. But it's just that the appeal is just not there for me. And I peek at it every now and then, but it just ain't the same to me anymore. I still follow it. So it's not a discriminatory thing. I just don't follow it as much. Same thing with the NBA. It's kind of hard to watch when you shoot 1,000 3-pointers. And when you learn the game a certain way, pound it down to the big fella. And when the big fella gets going, you double team him, you kick it out, and you hit the jump shot. Old school style basketball is what I'm more interested in. But just to shoot 3-pointers all the time, I go down to the city park to see that. What's the time where you're at? I'm on the East Coast, man. I got 7 o'clock, so I got to go punch in. But I think that overall, though, the sports world is okay with the basketball. It's just that I just had the feeling that basketball and any other sport is just something to do until football comes back around. So I could care less for the most part about any of that. Yeah, I watched the NCAA women's basketball, South Carolina, LSU, USC, UConn. Yeah, I've seen all those dynasties pop up. And the thing about women's basketball, it's always been one dominant team that nobody can beat. And for a ladies team to go undefeated is not uncommon at all. Like I said, I go all the way back. 84, University of Texas, Jody Conrad was the coach. They went undefeated. Cheryl Miller, she won it twice, I believe, with USC. They went undefeated. Then you started seeing teams like North Carolina slip in and out. Louisiana Tech was there, and all of a sudden Tennessee jumped on the scene and started dominating everything. And UConn came up and started dominating everybody, and now South Carolina is dominating everybody. So the question is, who's going to be the next college in women's basketball to dominate once they get caught up to South Carolina and UConn? A lot of times it's a collection of players, and I don't think NIL is affecting women's basketball like it is with the men's side. But I got to look into that. But there's going to be some other teams rise up to topple teams like South Carolina. And a lot of times that happens when you can get the coach to move on to somewhere else. Once Don Staley moves on, South Carolina is going to become also ran like they always were. Wherever she goes, she's going to win because she's going to get players based on her name and her ability to get results out of them. It's been proven now, so she pretty much write her own ticket. Same thing with Gino Auriemma. But he's at the end. He's could retire at any time now. I think he's over 70. How much time you want to coach? But one thing for sure, you want to catch me. The ambulance or the EMT guy will not catch me on the sideline. If I start to get sick and I see that I'm getting sick, they will not come pull me off a game and carry me off in a stretcher. And some of these coaches barely miss that, but not by much. Bear Bryant, what he last a week after his last game? That's not going to be me. That's why I'm thinking that some of these other coaches that we know about now with health problems, get on out of there and go have some fun and do whatever you're going to do. Because if your health problem keeps getting worse, then it might not be long. I'm not trying to make a prediction on anybody, but I'm just saying, when you get sick, step aside, let somebody else have that, man. Don't let the ambulance come get you off the sideline. I like Juju's game. She's going to be a star. Yeah, she got hurt. I like to see how things would have turned out if she hadn't got hurt. But a lot of times that happened to stars. I was having a thought about the man today, and the man on track and field from Florida is a guy by the name of Houston McTeer. This man ran a 9.0 100-yard dash back in '76. If you translate that to 100 meters, he's running about a 10 flat. Now, he did end up going to the Olympic trials in '76, and he ran a 10.1 as a pretty much a high schooler. That's something after graduating, but he ended up tearing an Achilles, and he couldn't run in the Olympics. And then in the '80 Olympics, he qualified for that team, but boycott. So timing is everything. He missed '84 because I don't know what his problem was there. I heard he got on drugs or something like that. But this man here, you think Carl Lewis was fast. You think some of these guys were fast. He didn't have the training techniques like that. But if you're a 10th grader and you run a 10 flat 100 meters, oh, you all time. And the only reason that's not a world mark, they say it was hand time, so they don't count that. But shit, if you in that race and the dude ran a 9 flat on you, you don't need to worry about how they timed it. All you know is by the time you look up and see where everybody else, he down there crossing the finish line. That's just how good that man was. So injuries are rough, and they'll always be in place. And that's why you play the game because you never know what may happen to the best players. You might have a bad day. They might get hurt. But just the way it goes. But anyway, looking forward to a good game tonight. I think the Chargers, they better step up if they want to be a player in the AFC because Kansas City waiting on them. They remember that first game they played and lost. So they'll be looking to see them. Denver is getting stronger. So if they want to be a player in the AFC West, they better win this game tonight. Same thing with Minnesota. If they want to compete in the North, Green Bay is tough. Detroit is getting stronger. And I think that J.J. McCarthy, he's ready to play, but he needs to stay on the bench and sip some more Kool-Aid because if he's going to start him in this so-called Harbaugh Bowl or Harbaugh reunion tonight, then Minnesota's going to lose. That guy's not ready to be an NFL quarterback. He needs to sit and learn or go to the CFL or something, but I just don't see it with him right now. But anyway, he's a pro player. Let's see how he bounces back. And if Wentz lays an egg tonight or they lose, then you'll see McCarthy probably next week. But I think he should stay on the sideline right where he is. But anyway, wherever you are in the world, hope you guys have a great day. Like and subscribe if you're new. Break, I appreciate you stopping and hollering at me. JC, the same thing, and anybody else. Sam Cannell, how you doing, man? I missed that. Minnesota Vikings are finished. Well, we'll see. I still think that Wentz is the better option now than McCarthy. If McCarthy was still there, then yeah, they would be finished. And the Bears won 4 straight, so ain't no easy road for none of these teams. And right now we're in the middle of the road. I'm just trying to see who's going to be fired next. The Jets owner came out in support of Aaron Glenn, so he's not going to be fired. Mike McDaniels, I don't think they're going to fire him. They want to get rid of Tua because he ain't getting the job done. So we'll see how that shakes out in Miami by the end of the year if they make it that far. But anyway, we got to get up out of here and go sign in, man. You guys have a great day. And I catch you guys on the flip side. And I'm also looking forward to them Steelers getting on with Green Bay, man. The